One more minute. One more minute. We got a lot of people joining. Okay, well, everybody, thanks for joining. My name is Doug Younger. I am the founder and CEO of 3 Steps Forward. And today you have joined the first of a monthly series that is a great way to take advantage of your San Diego Chamber of Commerce membership. It's a workshop that we're going to be going through about developing a winner's digital marketing attitude. As you all know, with the pandemic, either the pandemic year or post-pandemic recovery, and I'm sure a lot of us have the COVID blues. But one good news is, as small business owners and entrepreneurs, that's not going to keep us down from bouncing back and growing. And that's kind of what a lot of this series will be about. Now, just so you know a little bit about myself. Oh, let me get this going. Okay, great. So my personal mission statement in life: hard earned, hard fought, hard won. In addition to starting 3 Steps Forward, I've worked 20 years at GE, Siemens, Boston Scientific, Baxter Healthcare in my old corporate life. I then moved on to a lot of startups, and I am now an entrepreneur and small business owner myself. So I can relate to the journey of what it means to will something into creation, which is definitely not for the weak at heart. And I understand and empathize with all of you, how you go and create value for your customers, and how we can use marketing as a tool for you to grow and to do more. Just so you guys know, I started 3 Steps Forward as a marketing full service consulting group. We focus on what I call positive business social causes. So we just don't work on like Nike tennis shoes. Like, we always are working on clients and concepts that make the world a better place, right? Peace in our time. So we actually quite succinctly work with startups, small businesses, entrepreneurs, inventors on a full suite of variety of marketing topics. We actually have over 27 startups that are either Series A, Series B, Series C, pre-seed, seed, or even like just starting out. So I see all kinds of business models that are on a daily basis. You should also know we are official partners of the Sacramento Kings in the NBA, and locally, for many of you, the San Diego Gulls. And yes, I will be in Pechanga Arena. Actually, this will be December 10th. I actually give a small veteran-owned business award once a month to exemplary veterans, rewarding them for their service. That's our civic duty people. You'll see me in the arena there. So if you love hockey, you come check me out. What are you going to learn today? Okay, today's focus is really about having the right mental context for your business when doing marketing. Today, we're going to go through some exercises. We're going to do a favorite book sharing exercise to loosen you up. There'll be lots of interactive polling and answers so I can keep you engaged. There'll be some value proposition examples about Apple Watch Series 6, Peloton, which is that's near and dear to many of your hearts, as well as some other interesting topics, likes of which is 1, metrics and changes online in post-pandemic life, 6 elements of a digital marketing strategy you need to think about. There's human-centric design for social media. There's characterizing brand reputation, how to demonstrate value, and so forth. So my only request is, again, proper etiquettes in the chamber, be polite and be respectful to all. There is no question that is out of bounds or bad. And as always, help others and always add value, right? That's the end of the day. So, and, we will get into it. So next, let's go through, okay, my top favorite corporate survival book list starts off with Jack Welch winning. The intellectual devotional, which a lot of you don't know, is the intellectual devotional is a daily thing that you read that gives you a new factoid. So 365 days of the year, you can at least say you learn something new every day. Don't let your kids just do this. You should learn something new every day. Art of War, my man Sun Tzu, when at peace, prepare for war, or the enemy of my enemy is my friend. All those things go back to a lot of philosophers in Far East Asia. So many of our Asian colleagues that have joined, you should be proud of your culture. Who Stole My Cheese, which is a great book, and The Challenger Customer. I would like to encourage everybody out there in this chamber to go in the chat and enter in your favorite corporate book. And this way we can get a little participation from you guys out there. So just go ahead, don't be afraid. Just go ahead, type it in there. What's your favorite corporate survival book? I'm gonna say winning. Did you guys forget how to access the Zoom chat? Oh, there it is. All right, The Arc of Ambition. Anybody else out there is gonna share for the group what their favorite book is. Okay, the intellectual devotional, that's Aisha's favorite. Any others? Well, I'm gonna let the chat just kind of grow and expand as everybody opens up, but we're gonna get to some fun stuff. First of all, interactive polling. Now I'm gonna activate an interactive poll that all of you will get to go into. What I would like to encourage you, just vote on the topic that we're going into. And Robert, thanks for sharing. From your small business experience, which industry do you most identify with? I ask this question contextually so that all of you can get a little more familiar with who else is in this session. So let's see if I can launch this poll. Ooh. Well, it looks like the polling isn't working well. So why don't you, if you don't mind using the chat function, why don't you go in there and enter in what industry that your business works in. Oh, I see A, I see other. So there's somebody's in consulting, a couple of people are in technology, we got some financial services, we got other, the mysterious Jim and his other. I love it, Jim. I love it. Other construction, legal services, employer benefits. So it's a good spread, a good wide representation that's out there. I would encourage you to check out this article on the bottom right here of the top 10 small business industries to start in 2022. It's an interesting read because they actually view that storage, beer and wine and beverage, and a lot of commodity services is, some of the top small business industries.
What about it? Pretty soon.
Yeah.
Hey, James, maybe I want you to mute there, buddy. There we go. So I think I think it'll be an interesting article for you to read, and you always want to think about the future. Okay, next polling question. I see everybody's getting warmed up now. Everybody's up for the chat. I'd like you to enter in the chat. When competing as a small business, which approach do you prefer for competitive advantage? Brand, such as like Target, like, we are just the place to be. We look cool. Do you prefer technology in terms of like Best Buy of things you purchase there? Price, like, are you the lowest cost player or maybe you're the premium price player? Like Walmart, okay? Do you believe in community? Like your customers and, they love you and you love them. And then, do you believe in all the above? Although I wrote, don't select this one. Somebody always chooses E. It's okay. It's okay. Pick your poison, people. Yeah, there we go. Some people like community. It's flowing. And then there's none of the above, which I don't think anybody should say. We always want a competitive advantage. Okay, so community is big. What a lot of you don't know, actually, the core of a lot of the lectures that are out there is actually brand, technology, and price was traditionally what's taught pre the digital era, and now community is now up there. And it makes sense, right? It makes sense. Okay, last qualifying question for everybody. Here's another exercise to get everybody loose. So, are you left brain or right brain? There's a group called Mental Up that has a nice way of assessing that. So I want everybody to put their hands together like this, and then you're going to put your thumb over another thumb, or you're going to keep it flat. You choose, okay? Now I want you to enter in there. Was your thumb A on top? Was your right thumb on top? Was your left thumb on the bottom? Or was it both? Why don't you enter that in there? And I know for me, my right thumb was on top. Okay, now this is, you say, Doug, what does this mean, right? What is the insanity? Okay, so if your right thumb is on the bottom and you're a B, that means your left brain in rational thought process. That's how you favor the left hemisphere of your brain. If your right thumb is on the bottom, then you favor the other way. This is an interesting exercise, and you'll get a few people that actually do both. Actually, one of my lead designers in my company did that. I think it's interesting to always have the right perspective. And the point of a lot of these questions is that all of you have different frames of reference and how you process the world. Even your frame of reference is different in terms of which hemisphere of the brain you choose to use. Now, getting to more of the topics at hand. Change is inevitable, people. The post-pandemic is totally different in terms of how people engage online. So COVID-19 back in 2020 increased online and digital activities in interesting ways across the age range of 16 to 64 years of age. So I'm making sure I'm getting everybody involved here. 54% of people are now watching more shows and films on streaming devices. 43% are now spending longer on using social media. 35% are big into interactive gaming. 42% are spending longer on messenger services. That's that DM acronym that you'll hear about. 36% are spending more time on mobile apps. 16% are creating and uploading their own content, meaning they're becoming content creators. They may judge and give opinions on your business and you didn't even know. 37% are listening to more music and streaming services, and 15% are listening to more podcasts, which is all interesting statistics from global social market research. Now, if you thought that social media didn't matter to you, now I'm going to go even further. Your age demographic is actually pretty represented by this chart here. So the social path to purchasing products is characterized here. There's different behaviors that people have. They discover their brands and products or from an ad on social media. Some people look at recommendations on social media. Some people do the research there. And you can see by the size of the bubbles here that actually many of the people here in different age demographics use social media as a primary driver of purchase activity. And this is something you need to be aware of. Even baby boomers, 19% of them discover their products and brands on social media. 15% discover them via recommendations. So you have to think about the age demographics of the audiences that you're trying to reach. This is a good starting point. Next up is, you may think that the Instagram generation is, like, I don't understand these young people. Well, guess what? Social media audiences, it's kind of like dark matter. You can't touch it, you can't feel it, but it's everywhere. There are 3.96 billion people now using social media worldwide, and it's increasing year over year. That's half of all humans on Earth. And the only gating item is access to mobile phones, which is increasing, and most of the social media usage is now on mobile phones. So definitely this, as a small business owner, you got to think, will my website work on mobile? Is it mobile optimized? Am I prepared for that? Well, that would say, hey, you need to get on there. I can even tell you that half of all life, which is about, I'd say about 2 billion people, I should say, not quite half, but 2 billion people are all on Facebook. So these are things that you really have to think about. Next, as a business owner, another contextual thing you need to think about is, why should I care depending on my industry? And I do think that something that all of you need to think about is this chart indicates here that when you go across a variety of sectors, apparel, automakers, restaurants, consumer products, food and beverage, which I was picking on them a little earlier, but we love you all. Trust me, I love some food and beverage. Retail, hospitality. Notice that Facebook, in terms of median audience size, is the most heavily represented demographic of all social media platforms. And I think for a lot of you, you should think, oh, whoa, like, I know politically speaking, maybe you're not happy with some of the things that Facebook has going on in terms of privacy rights. But the truth is, a lot of your clientele is using it. Now you can see Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, other things. I think the takeaway here as a small business owner should be pick your poison, but make sure you pick wisely based on the audiences that you want to reach. Okay, next up. Now let's say, okay, we've thought about a little bit trends out there, what our audiences look like. And now I need to think as a small business owner, like, okay, how can I not let competitors, do nothing attitudes, or disgruntled customers eat my lunch, basically? So, social media and digital marketing is hard. It's complex. One of the reasons why is you have to be phenomenal of where to play and how to win. Strategy versus tactics. And what I would definitely say, something you can think about is your brand is a direct manifestation of visibly how people see your company, your employees, and yourself. So I'm saying that personal profile that you haven't touched on LinkedIn in a whole while, don't be surprised that a very interested customer or client or influencer may be checking you out and what your brand representation is or personified on social media. Secondly, something you have control over, your value proposition. Somebody wrote that in the chat, actually. That's James. So brilliant deduction, James. Value proposition, at the end of the day, is the value you deliver for your customers and your clients. Notice these are two mutually exclusive concepts. There's brand and how you appear to be, and then there's the value you deliver. Make no mistake, bottom line, it's about the value you deliver, period. Now, these other areas, tactically, if you understand a lot about where to play, then you need to work hard on search or SEO or search engine optimization or search engine marketing, SEM, content, which is making sure that you have the content that communicates the values that you have. Like, do you have case studies of how you've saved your clients money? Social media and web development. So these are the core things you're going to need to answer the questions of having the right winning attitude in the digital marketing era. Next, which is an interesting concept, is digital marketing and choosing where to start. It intimidates many people. I can tell you, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. I'd like to break it down for you in more simplistic terms. If you're thinking about a new product launch or a new product you have or a new website you're doing, so break it down like this. If you're going to go into social media, first choose your channel. And your channel should be a representation of the resources, the funding, the money that you have, and you have direct control of that channel. Maybe you don't want to do all channels. Maybe you say, I'm only doing Facebook. Pick my poison. But one advantage and versus pitfall of the channel is channels is how you reach audiences. The pitfalls are you make a channel and you don't reach them or they don't use it, you'll appear inactive. And that actually hurts you in terms of SEO algorithms of, whether your content gets in other people's feeds. So being inactive is bad. So update your social profile. So audiences, alternatively, you have no control of them. Whether they like you, whether they follow you. I mean, you can do things to try to, get them to follow you, but it's not that you can make them. I mean, sure, you could probably pay some bots or something to force it, but that doesn't work very well. So the advantage of that is, though, audiences are there to be reached and become aware of new concepts or new product offerings that you're looking to sell. But also the slippery slope is audiences can complain. They can dislike you and they can give you bad comments. So if you're not watching your social feeds on engagement, you're going to have problems there. Now, alternatively, if we talk about content, this is something you do have control over. So content is something that you want to communicate your value proposition in creative, provocative ways. If you do it well, people will like it. If you don't do it well, they may ignore it. If you do it really poorly, they may not like it, which is not good, right? They'll say down, So that's something to consider. Even the political tone or position you take. Look, I love all of God's children, left and right. But the truth is, if you start expressing that as part of your business, don't be surprised that you may rub one person the wrong way and other people the right way. So that's something to consider. Activity, lastly, is something that you also have to consider, because activity you really don't have control over, in truth. Like whether somebody's engaged, whether people are commenting, whether people are in my little chat box, that's something you have to consider, that the pitfall is maybe they do nothing. But the best advantage is that they do a lot, which means you need to use metrics and KPIs.
Well, I was working on my big one, but when
There we go. That's okay. I muted Jacqueline there. Just everybody remember to mute as we go along there. I'm not, Thanos snapping people away. I just, I want to make sure everybody gets the most out of this. But the big comment is metrics and KPI is the biggest indicator of success on social media. And I'm going to talk about that next. Oh, there we go. Okay. So now we're talking about moving into, your audience, you've got your value prop, you've even chose your channels, your content, all these things. But how do you gauge whether you're doing well? How do you monitor that? Now, what we're talking about now is brand reputation, that of your company or even yourself. Don't think that you don't have that either. So it is your responsibility as a business owner to be quantitatively clear on what your current brand reputation is, how it's trending, and how your own personal narrative can affect your business. Let's talk about some examples of this. So first of all, a great indicator of success for your website is unique site visits. This means that a person came, they didn't bounce, which means they came to your site in less than 45 seconds. They actually not only went to your site, they stayed there for a certain duration, which is called time on site. And that these individuals, in a lot of ways, should be people that are on your contact list, your lead list, and you would consider them a marketing qualified lead, or MQL. Some of you will hear these acronyms. These people are now on the start of what's called your buyer's journey. And it may take them multiple steps moving towards purchase likelihood. But at the end of the day, if they don't visit your site, they're not going to learn about your wares or your goods, and they're not going to know about you. Next comes a very interesting concept, which is called share of voice. Share of voice is a great concept that essentially says, when you make noise on social media, remember, from the audience's perspective, you are one data point of a ton of other distractions they can look at. It's the equivalent of having a megaphone in front of a large crowd. If the large crowd's loud enough, they can drown you out. But if your megaphone's loud enough, you can drown them out. So understanding what your share of voice, or the net sum of the total number of people that see your content is, compared to either competitors or other analogous sources, is something you need to know and think about, okay? You could be saying the right thing, but nobody's listening because somebody else who's a competitor is louder than you. They have a bigger megaphone. Tonality, now this is a really good one. Tonality is about being positive, neutral, or negative. This is in somebody's mind's eye. Is your business trustworthy? Are you trustworthy? And kind of like, is your business kind of like good or bad, right? Like, this is kind of a soft, squishy sort of thing. You can survey a lot of people. Turn off presenter view under your screen is very small. Okay. Jamie is requesting that I turn my view settings at the top. Like, I'm getting real-time feedback from this. Let's see. You have to exit slideshow. And you want me to do, let me see, off presenter view to enlarge your screen. Go view at the top. Okay. Let's see here. I don't know if that's going to be the solution there, Jamie. Can't zoom in much more than that. Is this view better than what we had? Yeah, sorry, Jamie. It's a good try, though. It's a good try. Okay, so let me go. Okay, there we go. So my next comment on tonality is that many businesses, when you start, are neutral if you don't have enough awareness. Now, alternatively, you have to earn the right to be positive. And I think that uncommon comment is sometimes bad news can be good news because it gets people talking about you. But here's the interesting concept. It's hard to build positive brand tonality. It's easy to build negative tonality, but the negative tonality is hard to change. Once people view you as bad, it's harder to come back from that if they view you're good or even if you're neutral. So that's something you need to take away. So next, let's talk engagement. Engagement is a major parameter of activity, okay? At the end of the day, you don't want people to just look at you. You want them to do something. You want them to like or to share or, to do other things. So my comment there to everyone is you need to monitor with metrics on that people are actually engaging with you in different ways. Means they go to your website, they actually complete your contact us form and they ask for services. Or they go to your social media page and they drop a like or they drop a comment or they subscribe. These are the sort of things that you want to see. And if you don't see it, that means you need to make changes in your content. Okay. Now, let's go to another interactive polling situation. How many Star Wars fans do I have out there? Is there any Star Wars fans left? Oh, I see some. Some people raise their hand. There we go. Okay, see, Star Wars isn't all beat up, but there's a lot of criticisms of Star Wars for a variety of reasons, for the reboots and Disney, and they messed it up. And, at the end of the day, the prequel series is bad and the originals are good, whatever, right? We all have heard this. Now let's talk about an interesting situation of positive or negative personal brand equity. Okay, it's related to reputation. I don't know how many of you actually watched The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. This is a contemporary example. Actress Gina Carano was fired from the Star Wars Mandalorian cast for some controversial, what could be viewed as insensitive statements. I believe they're insensitive, but it is what it is. I'm not judging anyone. On social media, but despite these comments, she actually trended #1 as a result on the IMDb database star meter for ascending popularity. So the question to many of you, in your opinion, now that we've talked about this, is Gina Carano's newfound fame, based on her being fired, based on her controversial concepts, is this positive or negative brand equity? And I'll tell you right now, there's no right answer. So just put in there A, B, or C of what you like. And I see Victor was already in there, like, bam, way to go, Victor. Like there's a negative, there's 2 negative votes already. There's C, I don't know. There's a couple B's, C's. Notice it's interesting, no A's, right? But wait a minute, like think about it. Like if you're in Hollywood, you want to be like talked about in headlines, right? Like who wants to be the unpopular kid that nobody talks about, right? Wrong. Most of you actually perceive that this is still a negative brand equity. If everybody's talking about you, but they're talking about you being fired and doing bad things, guess what? I would agree personally that this is negative brand equity, but I do agree with the comment here in the chat. There is no such thing as bad publicity. Correct. Publicity is just an indication of chatter, talking. But the difference is positive in brand equity is the positive or negative associations or tonality that people will have of you. And that is not just chatter. That is, this person's good, this person's bad. And this is a very important concept for your business. My opinion, your personal profile is a direct reflection of the reputation of your business. You have to consider that fact. Maybe you're shy. You don't want your personal profile to count. Doesn't matter. You're a small business owner. People are going to seek you out, and you got to make sure the face of the company is correct. Okay. Value proposition. All right. Well, this is important, right? We've gotten through, okay, look, boom, we know our audience. We know what we want to say. We chose our social channels. We got our content. We even considered whether our perception is branded good or bad. Now we're talking about the value delivered. This is an important thing because I'm going to get at how you rationalize or quantify some of this concept. So, textbook, when I teach, at college, okay, value proposition is the promise. It's a claim, by the way, of value to be delivered, communicated, and acknowledged. It's also a belief from the customer. So let me say, value propositions from two angles. There's from you as the provider of value, and to the other, the person that's perceiving and receiving the value. So they're going to perceive how your value will be delivered, what your experience will be, and what they're going to get out of it. This is important, okay? This is very important, people. So your products, and your products could be people, it could be your services, so forth. You need to be clear in your website, in social media, even in your verbal. Like some of you may be in sales, okay? What's your benefit to that customer? What are your unique features? And what I would comment is competitive advantage, unique selling points, right? And 3, how does it make them feel, right? Is it good emotionally, rationally, even I would say in other ways, economically? These are key concepts, okay? And bottom line, that's from your perspective. If you've done that, you've communicated your value. Now, alternatively, you need to think from your audience's perspective. First of all, what is it they want emotionally? What is it that they fear? Like they may already have something that's similar to what you sell, but they're concerned about what's called switching costs. Does it cost them a lot out of pocket to switch? There's needs. Do they have hidden needs? Do they have rational drivers of purchasing? And then there's also, maybe they're thinking of a substitute, okay? And we're gonna get into some of these concepts. Okay, everybody should love oysters. Doug really, Doug really loves oysters. So let's take an example. Human-centric approach to communicating value online, okay? So this is just a simple 2-picture comparison. On the left is a picture, which is an example of a simplistic approach that Apple popularized. They just show you the oysters, right? Like they just show you a product and they'll just white everything out and just say, okay, look, oysters. And notice I just put the word oysters. Now, this is a product delivered approach. It means I'm communicating, that I have oysters and you can buy them if you want them. So anybody that wants oysters will say, oh yeah, I really want that product. But what if the person never knew about oysters? They never have it. Guess what? That's not going to resonate with them. This is where human-centric approach or designs for telling stories, narratives, and all of you need to think about this when you communicate your product. Don't just show the oyster, show your customer or the personification of what that audience is eating that product or using that product, liking that product, because then your audience can empathize rationally, like, oh, look, this healthy young lady here is eating oysters. And notice even the terminology. You can look at oysters or you can have oysters in good health. Now, you could say shortening the language is better, which I said, that's a simplistic approach. Apple popularized it. Or you can qualify oysters in good health. And oh, by the way, it may appear like she has a glass of wine there. Maybe she's on a date, so she's not alone. Well, everybody wants to be not alone, in good health, and I hope everybody's wanting to eat oysters. So this is a good example of when you're thinking about how to communicate your value. Don't just communicate the thing you have. Don't fall in love with your widget. You need to now see someone using your widget, using your service, and so that others can see themselves using your service. So I hope that this is a very clear example, and shout out to Bodega Bay Oyster Company. I love those guys. Oh, you guys would love to eat my oysters. Maybe later. I'll come down to San Diego and bring some. Okay. Next, let's take an example of value proposition in the popularized Apple Watch Series 6. I actually have one. Okay. Now, Apple Watch has been around for a little while. Hopefully you guys know. It did not start off like, the amazing innovation that iPod was. It did not start off like the iPhone. Many people, there's the Apple enthusiasts that just die to have it, okay? And then there was many that didn't do it, okay? So let's break down some real interesting concepts. We're gonna go into value proposition for Apple Series 6. So one, what are the comparative products, okay? Apple Watch SE, Apple Watch Series 3, Samsung Galaxy Watch 3. Okay, functional value. Okay, it's 44 millimeters or 40 millimeter case size. That means, in other words, it's bigger. Okay, I don't know. Gearheads like numbers, but not everybody does, but it's bigger than other ones. Technical specs. It has an always-on retina display and water resistant at 50 meters. Okay. So if I like to swim, or I'm in the shower, or maybe I have kids and I got to bathe them, I can stick this thing in the water, right? Well, as long as it's 50 meters. And that sounds like a big number. So, okay, Apple brought some tech specs there. Next is networking. It's got GPS and cellular. Oh, interesting. Is that a big deal? Well, it depends if you want it. But you remember, you have a phone, so maybe it's a big deal. Now, here comes the unique selling point, the kicker. This is what separated this product from all its progeny. It's got a blood oxygen app, or ECG, or electrocardiogram function to it. It's actually a medical device, by the way. This thing, that is the unique selling proposition that Apple's really pushing. Now, if I look at the purchase price, $399, total cost of ownership, you don't have to pay many subscriptions, but if you get cellular, it'd be $399 to buy the watch, $10 for the cellular, which means, your 1 year total cost of ownership, I could say it's over 5, but let's 1 year would be about $1.42 per day. Okay. Now, not everybody's smart like that. They're not going to break down all the numbers and things like that. So Apple will come out with the marketing claim. Guess what? The future of health is on your wrist. And their emotional argument is a healthier, more active, more connected life is in reach. I can tell you this product is a killer. It sold like crazy because you can see that Apple had a lot of things like function, like technology, like networking, but until they came with the unique position for that product, it just wouldn't sell. This is a powerful concept for many of you. If you are in service, what is your unique selling proposition? If you have a product, what is the unique selling point? I'm saying one ring to rule them all, not 10, not 5, one. What is it? Once you get that and you lead with it, and you have what's a concept called total cost of ownership, you're going to do well. Okay. Next, you're going to say, okay, Doug, my head hurts now. You did all this math. Like, what's with you, man? Well, guess what? I'm trying to break it down and show you, okay, here's like a sort of template to think about if you're going to make what's called a value proposition statement. Okay. First of all, your product should be for a target customer. So like in my case, my business is like for small business or innovators, right? Then who, right, is a statement of the need or opportunity. Okay. So like, for who is it for, right? So for me, it's for businesses that struggle to grow in the pandemic and achieve their mission and make their dreams come true and market awareness. So for is for this audience who needs to do X, Y, and Z. Then our is the product service name or the product category. So for us, we're a technology forward marketing group that is affordable and scalable, like clear. And then the stated benefit, which is, we can translate and create marketing qualified leads, sales qualified leads, conversion, X, Y, and Z. So you need to make it that clear in your mind. Who's your product for? What do they need? What you offer, and what is the benefit for them? It's got to be that simple. At least then you can go to your social media, you can go and talk about it, and at least the gold nuggets, the magic is there, okay? This is important stuff. Now, when we talk about that, I told you, okay? If you're gonna deliver value for somebody, okay? One, it's gotta be emotional, rational, and economic. Now that part is really hard, okay? The rational and emotional thing comes quick. Economic will require you to do some observing of your clients and using some simple math. Because let's be honest, here's a good example. A lot of people are doing, advertisements on social media and they do discounts, right? They discount everything. Like I hate to discount anything, but we just came off Cyber Monday and Black Friday. Everything's discounted. Well, guess what? If you don't understand the discretionary spend of your audience that you're trying to reach, guess what? You can discount all you want. They may not be able to afford your product, okay? So one method to do that you saw me use for Apple Series 6 is to use the total cost of ownership model, TCO for short. It means the initial purchase price of your product plus the hidden cost of your product, typically hidden. A good example would be you go to buy a car. When you buy a car, they don't include how much gas that the car will cost you over 5 years. They're not going to tell you that. I mean, you could probably calculate it, but most people aren't that smart unless you get it like a Tesla or something like that. Well, that's a little different. But initial purchase price plus hidden costs plus operating costs minus resale value. That to that consumer is their total cost of ownership. So it means purchase the car, add up how much gas you're going to put on it, how much maintenance intervals you're going to have on it, minus if you sold the car, which is the blue book value. This is going to give you to them what their total cost of ownership is. For any customer that's rational minded or economically minded, particularly if you're B2B and there's some CFO involved, you got to have that type of detail in your mind when setting your price, when setting up what you want to offer, when even maybe consider a return on investment calculator or a testimonial about a customer that got good TCO or a case study about it. And I'm not going to say everybody's economically minded. I can tell you one thing. Creating emotional value is a must. Because at the end of the day, people can spend their money anywhere. If they have positive brand association for you and they like you and they want to work with you, my opinion, they're gonna already consider you. But when you start talking the end of the buyer's journey, when we're talking about decision making, yeah, this is where people will consider certain costs. Okay, they're going to consider maybe the sunk cost, the overhead cost, the purchase cost, utilization cost. These are all arguments that you have to develop that the client or customer is going to think about. And they may ask you, or they may subconsciously have them and not trust you. So this is an important concept. Okay, this is one of my favorite exercises for people. So, okay, so now we're putting it all together. Like it's getting real complex. So we started off, you got your audience, your value prop. Now you've thought about content, which social channels you want to go. Now you've thought about your even your arguments, like economically, rationally, right? Like we're building up here, guys. So now let's apply it in an example. Now, how many of you out there, see, now we're out of post-COVID life. Have you come out of your home? Have you come out of your home now? Yes, you have. You even probably cheated while you were there. Well, guess what? Some people are now deciding, are they going to come out or are they going to stay in, right? So let's take an example. Let's say you're considering losing some weight. Doug needs to lose some weight for sure. You know, I still got some love handles. I can do it multiple ways. I can go to Equinox. I can get a physical trainer, or I can get a Peloton. Okay. Now let me break down the arguments for you. Okay. So if I go to, I don't know if many of you heard of Equinox, but let me break it down to you, like from a digital marketing attitude perspective. It's privately owned. It's a luxury fitness company. They typically have gym facilities. Okay. They have competitors like Crunch Fitness. They're high end. I would say that's the perception. It could be a short commute away, or it could be a commute. I don't know. It depends on where you live. It's typically for healthy lifestyle, right? And then I broke down the rational, economic, and an ROI kind of item. Many people, like in a persona, would say, well, I want to get out, I want to feel good, and I even want to network with others. Imagine that. Maybe I want to meet somebody. Oh, take it easy, though. Take it easy, right? Or economically, I could say, I get work health reimbursement to be at Equinox. Or lastly, they could say, you know, my total cost of ownership would be $200 a month, which is $2,400 per year, which would be $6.57 per day, and no maintenance costs. Okay, that's a Equinox broken down. Physical trainer, similar to Equinox, but more expensive, but you get more customized care. So typically they'll be small business owned. They'll have some personalized training. You could watch them on YouTube. You could do it yourself. It's more about an adaptive environment. You could do it anywhere. They can meet you at work. They can come to your office, right? Well, Peloton is, by the way, a Kickstarter that just shot up like a rocket. It's probably the stock's down a little bit now. Maybe that's a good time to buy, people, but they're different. Okay. First of all, they're an exercise equipment provider and media company. They offer gym equipment with online training built into it. Okay. They compete with Nordic Track, but do they compete with Equinox maybe? It's for the home environment. I don't see many Pelotons at gyms, by the way. It's for, you don't have to commute. You can work out at home. You can have a healthy lifestyle. And some people will say, I want it all. I want to feel good. I want no commute. I want results. And I still want to network and meet people, which you can do socially. It's a little harder, but you can do it. And they have financing available. And if you break down the cost per day, $40 online subscription, $1,800 bike, plus some initial membership up front, you break it down, it's about $6.24 per day, which is not that different than Equinox, surprisingly. So now that I broke it down, I want everybody to sound off in the chat. Now, we all want to be young like we used to remember ourselves. If you had a choice on the path to that, do you choose an Equinox membership or you do a Peloton? Please sound off in the chat. I'm very interested to see how this one turns out. Oh, look at that. There's a lot of Equinox people out there. It's fast. Oh, no, Peloton striking back. D, neither. Oh, I love it, Ali. I would love to, kind of dissect that one. Did anybody else sound off? Here we go. Come on. Doug's going to put his vote. I'm not going to stay on the sidelines, guys. Okay, fine. Doug's putting B. Doug's putting B. I should have declared that actually I own Peloton stock, I own the treadmill, and I own the bike. So I'm quite biased on this. But, I digress. Okay, enough people have reined in. There's probably a little more Peloton than everything else, but it's not so clear. Like, it's actually not obvious. Here's my comment here. Consumer perception is completely different on a person-by-person basis. This lesson is one of the strongest ones I can tell you. As you start working through your business, just know you could be saying the right message. You could be value propping right. You could be doing everything right. But at the end of the day, you've got to find the value you're delivering for somebody that really wants it. Because if they don't want it, they're not going to pick it, right? Oh, here's Ali. It says, CrossFit and swimming are more so my jam. Full body training and variation. Look, see, Ali doesn't have any love handles, you know, like that's like a Spartan savage, right? Like, you know, I love it. But the truth is, I can tell you, if you look at the stock price of Peloton, they came way after everybody else. And personal training's been around, but they are making a lot of money. So this is an interesting case study for many of them. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up so we can have questions. In conclusion, the global pandemic has brought changes. If you don't think social media or internet matters, wrong. The data already shows, as I mentioned earlier, it does matter quite a bit to all age demographics in all walks of life. People are using social media increasingly. Screen time in all forms is increasing, in particular for mobile audiences. Purchase decisions are influenced online, okay? Company brand reputation, and actually I should have probably wrote personal brand reputation can matter. Also, value proposition is critical in how you communicate, whether you use human-centric design, whether you do other things. And at the end of the day, to the rational, really witty customers, if you really want them to cross that buyer's journey and get through the whole thing, total cost of ownership, you need to be aware of what your value, your service is from the client's perspective. What is their total cost of ownership to purchase from you? And therefore, you understand what their discretionary income is, what their drivers are, and so forth. My final comment to many of you. I know it's been tough. This has been a tough year. Last year was tough. And I'm talking post-pandemic life. They're like, Doug, Omicron's out there. We're not over that yet. That's true. But it's up to us as small business owners to be greater than the status quo. We are the greatest employers in the United States. And no matter how big Google may say they are, you guys out there are making the impossible happen. And to quote Elon Musk, when something is important enough, and I think our fabric of society is important enough, you do it even if the odds aren't in your favor. And that's probably why you joined the chamber. And that's probably why you're not giving in. And that's why you hung through there and survived. I respect all of you for that. Another comment, okay? I'm starting a podcast. My God. So the Twist of Fate podcast, actually we're starting. You can see I'm wearing my San Diego Gulls jersey colors there, right? We're actually bringing in CEOs of many organizations to talk about the moment that inspired them to actually start a company or to leap into faith and to do their own thing. And that starts next year. So if you're interested in hearing more of my philosophies, you can find out that way. Also, I don't have it here. We will be back in January, and there will be a new monthly session about your targeting your best customer, or who's your best customer, or really understanding audiences. I hope you found this session informative. I hope you found, I hope you like my humor and antics. I hope it kept it interesting. I promise that I will fix whatever issue was out there for Jamie. If you couldn't see everything, we'll make it larger. Also, I think there is a good question about, yes, there is recorded. I recorded it. You didn't know that. So, you're all on record, right? But we will provide that recording to the chamber, and the chamber will get that on YouTube and all chamber channels. I thank the chamber for giving me this opportunity. I thank all of you for sticking around, right? We had good attendance today, good questions. If you have any additional questions, I'm willing to stick around I'm willing to answer. Maybe your own business, you have certain custom thing. And look, people are really in the chat. Hey, now I got you guys warmed up. So there's lots of interesting thing there. So thank you for your time, and let's keep this going, guys. Let's rock and roll. Like, let's get all of your businesses. I want to see you all succeed. All right. So take care. You can stick around, or I can answer questions. Looks like Brittany. Hey, Brittany, I'm a fan of yours too. I think, Brittany, you've been in some of these sessions before. Yeah, I see some things here. Shari likes the fact that I commented that I had to mute some people. Maybe they didn't know they were unmuted, and then I had to Thanos snap them away. But that's that I wasn't really trying to Thanos snap anybody. I just want to make sure everybody can hear everything. So, do we have any questions? Feel free to sound off your questions in the chat, or you can, at this point in time, unmute and just ask the question up front. Any questions there? Victor, Robert? How do I learn more? Yeah, Victor, very good. So good question. So I actually have all of my San Diego Chamber of Commerce webinars listed on the 3 Steps Forward website. So if you go to www.3stepsforward.com, or if you go to the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce site or YouTube page, you can find lots more antics. How to control your social media narrative, my opinions on web development. If you go, also, there's lots of videos. So I lecture all around. So you'll find more things about me. You can check me out on LinkedIn too. I didn't write that. So that's a good question, Victor. I think that's how you can get more engaged. Oh, look into this. How did you get started? Listen, like I'm actually, a kid of the little cocky black kid from Cleveland, Ohio. Went off in life, got educated, bought a house in California, married my true love in life. But no, I can tell you more about how I get started. Why don't you check out my podcast? You'll learn more about that. That's a good question, though. Let's see, got it, yeah. Oh, good, Matt's a fan. He had fun. Who else is out there? Any other questions? Robert, seemed like you needed like some tips and tricks for some of your work that you were doing. I hope this met your expectation.
It did. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you.
Yeah, man. Oh, look, once a month. So look, bring your coffee. Maybe we need to put it later in the Tell Chamber. Maybe we make it happy hour. Then you'll really get, you'll see my head go pop. I get really excited about this stuff. Would I be interested in mentoring? Actually, I mentor people all the time. I think this is a really good question. So I have many students, business people that I came along with in the big companies, and even I mentor all of my clients for sure about not just about winning in business, but like balance or work-life imbalance is what I call it. But life, what is success? If you're a small business owner, you need to do fundraising and things like this. That's a scary topic, right? Like there's non-dilutive. Do you give points away? Do you go to this VC? Do you sell out, right? Do I sell? Do I exit, right? So yeah, no, if you're interested in that, just send me an email. Obviously, I'm one guy amongst a million things, but maybe we can work something out. I guess it depends on what you're trying to get from it, but I'm definitely interested in mentoring, particularly women in business. I didn't know this. You guys don't know. Back in Siemens, in my corporate days, I worked in the Women's Information Network. And you say, what? I was the only guy there. Why did I do that? Because a lot of the employees that were female that worked for me, I felt I needed to find my inner she and to really understand what I view is like some of the data that shows that there's certain gaps that I'd say women in the workplace haven't gotten. They haven't gotten help. Like women they don't have as much access to mentors. They don't have as much access to sponsors. Sponsors, you say, oh, what's the difference in a mentor and a sponsor? Okay, one, a mentor is somebody that's going to help you be the best that you can be. But a sponsor is somebody going to get their butt off the bench and in the game. They're going to refer to you. They're going to bring clients to you. They're going to make sure you succeed. Sponsors are the keys to power. They open doors. In a lot of cases, I still think you can look at the employment pay discrepancies or, certain things there. Women need sponsors. So, that's my comment. Like, I'm trying to be better, right? I know part of the problem with employment and pay discrepancies means a lot of the guys, we got to be part of the solution, not just part of the problem. So it's my views on it. Any other comments? It's like you guys like hanging out with old Doug, right? He still got it. Let's see. I see a few thumbs up there. And I see Katie. Oh, there's a chamber. There's a chamber person here. And who else is there? Ward. Thanks for joining. Jacqueline Jenner. I think it's Jacqueline. I've seen that name before. Any other comments? Looks like that might be it, guys. Might be shutting it down. It's 2 o'clock. Hey, look, there's 15 minutes early. You guys might owe me 15 minutes, I think, right? I gave it back. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap this up, everybody. I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna stop recording.